I think we should move over to our next topic, which is having to do with two Coyotes that have not hit the Hall of Fame yet and are, I would say, pretty close. I would say there's an argument for both of them.
I think
Would you
one
like
should
to?
be. One
Would you?
definitely should be. I'm going to lead off with that.
Yeah.
We will not be talking about the trade. All right. I didn't know about this trade before. Now that I saw the details, shameless plug, AZ Sports Guy, expect an angry video in the next few days about this. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring him up. The man, the myth, the legend, out of Massachusetts himself, Keith Tkachuk. Side note, I pulled two Brady Tkachuk cards with my last couple of hockey packs because I get bored and buy hockey packs. Drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, 19th overall in 1990, and then was traded to St. Louis. Traded to Atlanta, signed back in St. Louis, retires after the 09-10 season. Totals in the NHL, just with the Coyotes, 640 games, well, Coyotes slash Jets, 323 goals, 300 assists, 623 points, another 400 points in almost 550 games with the Blues, 1,201 games total, 538 goals, 527 assists, 1,065 points. I think as a general rule, discounting the fact that he's a former Coyote, if you hit 1,000 points, you're probably a Hall of Famer. I feel like it's still not common enough to where it's like, oh, anyone can hit 1,000, which is good because it's a hell of an accomplishment. Also, playing 1,200 games is no easy feat. Look at any promising young player that develops even a small leg injury that turns into more, and you start missing more and more significant. Even Sidney Crosby can't stay that consistently healthy. It's like that's an accomplishment in and of itself. Being
Yep.
such a balanced overall player, power forward type, but almost the exact same amount of goals and assists, very balanced overall. I think what do you think was holding him back is the fact that there's no cup.
Probably.
So
Sorry.
did he ever win any like major hardware?
I don't know. I think he probably won something in the Olympics, if I had to guess. Um, I don't know what his hardware is, but yeah, he is one of those players that I think definitely could make it just because of his stats alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I want to continue on while you look this up. I'm assuming you're looking up hardware right now, yeah?
I'm looking up as much as I can about him, and there is not a whole lot in terms of like hardware information. It shows he was a five-time All-Star. Uh, he's an NHL All-Star second team twice. Games played. He was in the top 10 a couple of times. Let's see. It's a lot of like, hey, he's done this stuff, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of awards. I mean, he's a weekly 3-star in October of 2009. I'm pretty sure
Oh.
that's Hall of Fame worthy. That's sarcasm. That's not a knock against Walt or anything. But how much of an impact he
He's
had in the market was something that my dad was a big fan of his. Jr. Teppo, yada yada, the Bullen Wall, but for the longest time before Donor really became the face, even after he left, everyone knew who Keith Tkachuk was in this town. Even now, people
yeah.
still mention Keith Tkachuk. It's a little more infrequent, obviously, but he still had a huge impact here. Very well respected guy around the league for a long time. A St. Louis Blues legend. I'm friends with a lot of Blues fans. Blues fans love this man. They love him. They love Matt. They love Brady. They want both of them playing on the Blues. Even though Matthew was born in Arizona, so we're claiming him. I know he's a St. Louis kid. He even says he's a
Yes.
St. Louis kid, but we're claiming him because the
No.
birthright.
No, not. Where you grew up and play, I think is where you should probably be, right? If you want to make that argument, I think Cutter Gauthier is from Sweden, right?
True. But I'm just saying he was
Wait,
born
wait,
here,
wait.
so we're gonna partially claim him. All right, did you
Okay.
find an award? Did you find some
I
hardware?
found some hardware. Okay,
All right, what
so
we got?
for representing USA Hockey, Keith Tkachuk got a bronze medal in 1992 for the World Junior Championships, In 96, he got gold medal in the World Cup. And then at the Winter Olympics in 2002, he got the silver medal. So that is his hardware. He was also drafted 19th overall in 1990 to the Winnipeg Jets that would turn into the Arizona Coyotes.
I'm just saying with... Also, another honor, he was the first ever Coyote to be on the cover of a video game. He was on the cover of multiple. I think you're the PS1 and N64 era. I also did a video about Arizona cover athletes. I'm just shilling left and right today. But it's just, he was the first face of the franchise. He's been well respected for a long time. One of the more balanced players. I'm going to assume if you're a fan of a team that he played a lot, you're probably going to have a dirty hit or a story at this or that. But I have one pretty positive story. I'm not going to say who it was because it's theirs, not mine, but was supposed to meet Keith Tkachuk for his birthday, and there was like this scheduling conflict. Like, essentially, the organizers messed it up. The organizers like, oh yeah, so we're not actually going to be able to let you meet Keith Tkachuk. He was walking down the hallway and overheard this, and he was like, what's going on here? What did you just say? Oh, and then, he was pretty upset at the individuals who messed all that up. He's like, oh, so this is your birthday. He signed his jersey, signed a puck or whatever. And it's just, he was a really nice guy to the fans. I've heard infamous stories from my dad. He used to work at America West Arena. Let's just say if the team was not playing well, if that team was not living up to expectations, it's a second intermission, you're down 2 or 3 goals. The locker room doors are to be closed, and you are going to hear some screaming through the walls. There might even be a chair or something thrown. No confirmed reports, but I would not be surprised. And lo and behold, the Coyotes would come out in the second or third period whenever this intermission team pep talk would take place, and the team would be on a completely different level. Whether they win or lose, they still had a different gear to achieve, and it's just... He could lead on the ice by example. He could also lead by getting a fire underneath the rear ends of any of his teammates. And I guarantee if a guy was slacking off, he's going to their face. And if they still slack off, he's going to the coaches saying, this dude ain't playing. And there's something to be said about a captain that could do all of that. It's like, while I respect the hell out of Donor, he'd also... he'd hold you accountable. I haven't heard any reports of him like getting in someone's face like Walt did, but he'd hold you accountable. As much as I love the potential OEL had with being more of like I'm just gonna say the compassionate captain, to hope that that describes accurately. I think when you look at leadership like Keith Tkachuk, it's a lot more effective to more of the troops, as it were. And I'm just saying, there's a lot that I think Keith Tkachuk brings to be a Hall of Famer, and I think it's a shame. Although, unfortunately, when he goes in, even though he played more years for Winnipeg/Phoenix, he'll go in as a Blue.
Probably. If I had to guess, he probably will. I think a lot of people think of Tkachuk as a Blues player, so...
It's only the Arizona boys that see him as a Coyote, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other one. I know you weren't a fan of bringing him back, but that brought... he came back for the 1 year I got into hockey, so that was pretty cool for me. Jeremy Roenick, Mr. When I Was a Blackhawk himself. Mr. allegedly tried to help move the team back in 2010. Look it up. Allegedly. Just jokes, anyway. So he's drafted by Chicago, first round, 8th overall. Plays there for a number of years, goes to Phoenix in a hindsight relatively minor trade. They acquired him from Chicago. Ends up being a consistent 20 to 30 goal scorer for the Coyotes. He hit 30 goals twice with the Coyotes, 34 and 30 in his last 2 seasons with them. Leaves in free agency, comes back in 06-07 to try to score his 500th career NHL goal. He was, I think, a handful shy, goes to San Jose the next year and does that. He should have done that as a Coyote. That was back when I still liked him. He should have done that as a Coyotes 500th goal, but I think his stats-wise, a little over 1,000 points. Pretty consistent career over the course of about 20 years or so. That longevity also needs to be taken into account with stuff like this. I think he has the raw numbers. I don't think he has any hardware, right? Does he have?
He has also a silver medal from that Salt Lake City Winter Olympics in
All right.
2002, and then
All right.
also a silver medal from Canada Cup.
9-time All-Star, but All-Stars can be a little misleading, but he was still a very good player for a very long time. I think, and this might sound hypocritical because of how similar him and Walt's numbers really were. I think it's a longer shot for JR to be a Hall of Famer, not because the raw stats aren't there, but because I feel like there's a lot more supplementary stuff that Walt brought that I don't think JR brought. To where it's like, if one of them gets in, like, a gun to my head, I have to say who's getting in, it's Walt. But, with that extra context being said, I mean, still over 1,000 points. I think they probably both should be in the Hall of Fame, even though JR would go in as a Blackhawk.
Yeah, I think both of them have a case because of being American-born players and the numbers that they put up. I think that's how they get in, both of them, by getting over the 500 goal thresh mark as American-born players. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know this information. I'm cheating right now, but from the source I'm reading, Jeremy Roenick was just the third American-born player to hit 500 goals, just after Mike Bonanno and Joe Mullen, Mullen, Mullen. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. If you're like, oh my God, how do you not know him? I don't. But so there's a lot to that, right? Like being the God, what is the category that they call it sometimes? The builder category, right? Like these two really helped build the way for American hockey. I think that really does go a long way, and I think that could get them in just because of that. Now, I don't know if they'll go in as builders. I do make the argument that Shane Doan should go in as a builder if the Coyotes turn around their franchise.
Even if they don't, the
Don't
fact
care
that
what.
they're still here after all these years, Donor deserves a Hall of Fame spot. I will die on this hill. I will literally naked on top of Heel River Arena, shouting my off the top of my head, just shouting, Donor's a Hall of Famer. All right, just make a special Shane Doan category of the Hall of Fame, and it's just because he's Shane Doan. I think he
We
deserves
call it the
special
good
credit.
guys of hockey. Good guys of hockey. That's the
And
new
then
category.
retire number 19 league wide. Stevie Y, who is that scrub? No one cares about Steve Yzerman. He was a nobody anyway. Shane Doan.
Oh God.
Please take that out of context and put it up.